Hi guys, my name's Emily, and today I'm going to be doing the 10 influential books tag because I am sick and I don't have the energy to do a discussion or a review. So instead, you're going to get to learn a little bit about me. So my first book would be The Berenstain Bears Count Their Blessings, which is a book that my mom and dad read to me as a child, and it was part of my bedtime routine, and I remember just really liking the whole reading time, and that's, I think, when I fell in love with reading, was part of the bedtime routine, and that book just stands out to me for some reason. My second influential book series is the Bailey School Kids series, because these are the first, I just learned to read kind of chapter books that I read by myself, and it was a pretty big accomplishment to actually read by myself, so I think those were pretty influential. My third influential book series is the Harry Potter series, of course, because these were the first books that I was so excited, and I was waiting and anticipating the next book. I was in those midnight lineups with my dad to buy the book the moment it came out, and obviously this book shows up on a lot of people's lists, and I guess for our generation it's one of those books series that stands out for us. Fourth on my list is the Lioness Rampant series by Tamora Pierce, and it was one of the first series that I was exposed to that had a really epic female character who was just witty and funny and sarcastic and prickly, and I fell in love with Alana and all of the fantasy magic knights storyline, and it's a series that I've continued to return to even as an adult. I've probably read the first book, My Copy's Falling Apart. I've read it so many times, and it's still near and dear to my heart. So fifth on my influential books is the Wild Magic series, also by Tamora Pierce, set in the same world as the Lioness Rampant series. And it was the first book series that I was just so invested in this world and so in love with the characters that I felt inspired to write fan fiction for. And so it got me just writing all of these dorky little stories about some of the characters that I loved, and so I'm thankful to that series for inspiring me. Sixth on my list is Full Frontal Feminism by Jessica Valenti, which I got from the library on a kind of epic quest to write a really scathing essay for a really sexist and homophobic teacher in high school, and this book just showed up in my, I searched feminism at the public library, and I just took all the books that showed up on the list, and this was one of them, and I read it, and I had a general idea of what feminism was, but this book made me go, yes, feminism, I like that, and I kind of attribute this book to my interest in taking gender studies in university, which has been a really awesome part of my degree and my life, so thank you to Full Frontal Feminism. So seventh on my list is In the Skin of a Lion by Michael Ondaatje, which was something I read in high school, in my last year of high school, and it was one of the first books that ever made me feel smart when I was reading. I had read ahead and I picked up on some of the things, and I made connections, and I was like, aha, and the teacher then during the lesson actually said some of those things, and I felt really smart for having been able to engage and critically think about the text. So In the Skin of a Lion kind of holds a special place in my heart as well. Eighth on my list is Robertson Davies' Fifth Business, because this is the book that inspired me to go into an English degree in university. And so I read this book, again, feeling super smart, that I was thinking critically and analyzing it, and I wrote this really awesome paper, and I was at the time, I'd written the paper and I thought yeah, this is really great, I would like to keep doing this, and I'd applied to English, and then my English teacher handed the paper back to me, and he was like, you should really consider doing English in university. That just kind of reaffirmed my, I guess, love of English and reading, and it made me feel like it was positive reinforcement that I received from reading and writing an essay on this book, and so it's one of my favorites that I have returned to a couple of times since high school. Ninth on my list is The Shining by Stephen King, because I read this book and I loved it. It actually scared me, which was pretty cool, and after reading the book, I texted a friend of mine and I was like, oh, we should watch the movie together, and that ended up being our first date, and he has continued to be in my life for the past 4 years, and every year we get together and we watch the film version of The Shining with all of our friends to kind of celebrate our first date watching The Shining, which wouldn't have happened if I hadn't read The Shining. So The Shining kind of has to go on that list just because it's very special for me. 10 on my list is A Passage to India by E.M. Forster, and I read this book in university this year with possibly one of my favorite professors of all time, and he was just so passionate about this book that it inspired me to really read it closely and critically and kind of fall in love with the text as well. It's one that I'm hoping to go back and read again this summer now that we've done our whole class discussion on it. I really liked this book, and I'm glad that I got to read this and study this in university. And because this is my video, I'm going to break the rules and give an honorable mention to Cait by Inga Musico, just because this is possibly it's a book that made me really think about language and feminism and the female body, and it was just hilariously awkward, and yeah, it was a really great book. And I've kind of, it may be a little more radical than I would like to be, but it was still influential in how I think and how when I do things, I kind of remember this book and I kind of sometimes stop and reflect on what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And so, honorable mention to Cait. Hopefully this helped you guys get to know me a little bit better, because you can see what kind of books have influenced my life up to this point. And yeah, if you feel inclined to either make a video response or leave your 10 influential books in the comments below, I would love to read them or watch them. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.